Welcome to Boris FX Live. Sponsored by Dell Precision Workstations. Create without limits. And by NVIDIA. And Intel.
Hello everyone and welcome. This is Boris FX Live and my Earth name is Ben Brownlee. We've got another great show lined up for you today. We're going to be joined by Wren Weichman from Corridor Digital. And if you've ever looked at YouTube, you'll know Corridor from their reimaginings of famous VFX shots, like recreating the Star Wars Death Star attack using modern techniques, their VFX artist react videos, or you've probably been unknowingly exposed to their fun experiments with things like R-rated Spider-Man, the unsuitable bowling alley animations that are endlessly chopped up and spread around TikTok and Reddit by people wanting to steal their internet points. Now, we're going to be chatting about the life and loves of a VFX artist, and later he's also going to be taking over and showing us some shots on his screen. Now, we are live, and this means that you have the chance to get your questions answered. And here's how you do it. If you're watching us on YouTube, then you just type in your little questions in the chat box over to the right-hand side of the viewer. And if you are joining us on borisfxlive.com, then you'll also see another little chat box just at the top of the page for us right there. Now, why else would you want to go to borisfxlive.com? Well, we are giving away prizes. So if you want to join in with all the fun, you scroll down to the bottom there and you can enter to win right here. Just fill in your details at the bottom there and you can be in the chance for winning one of our big prizes today. In fact, we've got tons of prizes to give away. And what do we have, Mr. Brian? Let's have a little look. We've got a graphic here. We are giving away an annual subscription to Mocha Pro to one lucky winner. But that is not all. We're also giving away 5 annual subscriptions to Corridor Digital Premium subscriptions. So that is a $39.99 value. 5 of those. And we also have a annual subscription to the Boris FX Suite. So that is, of course, everything that we make, including Mocha Pro, that I'm sure you're going to be seeing a little bit later today, Sapphire, Continuum, Silhouette, and Optics. So don't delay. Go over to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and join in the competition to win one of those prizes. Full terms and conditions are available there. Before we get started, I also want to thank our sponsors, NVIDIA, Dell, and Intel, for helping to make this stream possible. We're always very happy to have them on board. And of course, a big shout out to the Dell Precision 3660 tower. It's cost effective, it's scalable performance in a mini tower design. Welcome to Dell Technologies. I think that was pretty good. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, thanks to all of our sponsors, and I think we'll get on with the fun stuff now. So, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So strap on in, because I'm about to read an essay all about Wren Weichman and Corridor Digital. That is, unless Brian has a VT he can run for us right now. Let's see. I'll give him 5. 4 essays coming.
Oh, hey, wow. Thanks for joining me.
It's recording.
All right.
What are you doing here, Wren?
Okay, I think it's ready. This is the world's first real working lightsaber. You guys ready to make history?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, yes. Lame.
Yeah, it's bright.
Yeah, you're gonna peel some fruit
Come
with that, or
on,
what?
how are you not impressed with this? It's a real lightsaber. I've just got a few bugs to work out. Whoa! This is better.
That's the real deal, man.
This is a little bit more of a real lightsaber.
If it's a real lightsaber, then shop this.
Whoa! Hey! I mean, it's a little short, but it's still impressive, right?
Yeah, whatever you want to tell yourself, man. Ready, Wren?
Oh!
Nice.
You have to use the force, man.
All right, I'm ready. Here we go.
Oh!
Look at that.
How long does it supposed to be.
I mean, I think it's still a little short.
Are you kidding me? It's long.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No, look.
It's still growing, dude.
No, it's slow down though.
No, it's speeding up.
Yeah,
Turn
turn it
Jeez, turn it.
Ren, watch. I'm trying to turn it off.
Ren, turn it off.
Okay, stop. I've got a plan. Okay. We're gonna take the batteries out. Right. Yes. I need a screwdriver.
Okay, where is it?
There's one in the kitchen.
Okay.
Oh.
How long do the batteries last?
Like 300 years.
Not in here.
Are you sure? No, it's definitely there. We need to get outside.
Okay,
get outside.
Yeah, let me get the door. All right, hold on.
Doors open. Bag.
Careful, dudes.
Okay. Well, careful. We're gonna do this.
Hold on.
No, just stick it out. Stick it out.
You go first.
Don't hit it. Don't hit it.
Oh, this is gonna be so good. Ren, I don't know about this, man.
All right, guys, I've finally done it. I have built the world's largest laser gun.
Ren, what if you miss?
I won't miss. Lasers go straight.
Yeah, plus they put an aimer on there.
3.
Hold on. Wait, glasses.
2.
Oh
my God, it's hot.
Oh, Ren! Whoa! Whoa! Why is he going so slow, though?
Oh, bigger things have more gravity, and that slows down time.
Ren, that's not how it works.
Oh, those crosshairs, Ren! If you didn't add them, dude, it wouldn't work, man.
Oh.
Sam, stop!
Come on, I was just curious.
No,
Sam. What? It's just water.
No, Sam, your car! It's headed towards your car!
Sam, keys.
Fuck, man, open it up.
Oh, where are my keys?
Are you serious?
I can't find my keys.
way!
Sam, are you sure you drove here with your keys? Oh my God, Sam, come on. Found him!
Ren, you locked my keys in the trunk again.
Guys, we need to stop this laser.
Thankfully, it's going really slow, and that gives us time to figure this out.
How much time? How long is it gonna take?
An hour?
Okay. I think we can probably have this figured out in an hour.
1 hour later.
Still no ideas? I can't think when you're rushing me!
Hey, what's going on over here? Y'all want this gun? Stuck in the dang ground.
Whoa. That's a glitch. Don't touch that.
Yeah, you should let us handle that.
What, you don't think I can handle this?
No, it's not that you can't handle it. I just think we should handle it. Whatever. Dips. No.
No, man, come on, let it go already! I can do this!
Screw this! I'm out of here!
Wait, Chief! Chief, don't do it! Chief!
Wait! What's happening? Something's wrong!
Oh, Chief, get out of there!
Not like this.
Those dead eyes. Yeah, pretty good.
There is a debate going on about how they did Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a deepfake of Luke Skywalker. We're going to show you how we do it.
Literally asking, can we do better than a multi-billion-dollar company called Disney?
We might be able to.
Okay, well, that gives a little insight into what Corridor do, but let's bring Wren into the mix to find out why. All right, hey Wren, welcome to Boris FX Live. How you doing?
Hey there. That was a little wild to watch. It's like trip down memory lane. I forget about a lot of that stuff.
It's a lot of classics going on in there. I think Brian
The
Brian
glitch
picked
there in
out some
particular, wow.
some good ones. Yeah, I loved it.
That's an old
Loved
school
it.
one.
I mean that sort of gives a little bit of a hint of what you were doing, but can you just take a moment just to explain to people who aren't familiar with Corridor what it is you do? What do you do? What's the
Well,
channel
I mean,
about?
we're a group of filmmakers, you know? It's like we're good friends. We're into technology and filmmaking and probably above all visual effects. And so we've been making YouTube videos for the last 10, 12 years. I've been part of Corridor for the last 10 years. And yeah, it's just like, it's for the longest time, it was just us trying to make the coolest short films we could, you know, trying to figure out new visual effects techniques, new filmmaking techniques from the top to bottom, you know, writing ideas, filming them, editing them, doing the visual effects, sound design, color grading, all that stuff, and then actually publishing them. But over the last, like, I don't know, 4 or 6 years or so, it's been more of a focus on the personality side of this stuff, because, you know, with YouTube changing and whatnot, we had to adapt our style of content. And I'm so glad we did, because I am now getting to work on like some of the most fun stuff possible. So we've managed to find a way to incorporate our passion and love for visual effects into creating YouTube videos that people seem to enjoy. And so we've got one show on YouTube called Visual Effects Artists React, and we have not missed a single upload every single Saturday for the last 3 years. So that's very cool. And on top of that, where I spend most of my time and effort is mostly just trying to come up with interesting little novel ideas for us to tackle, whether that's making the effects from Spider-Man more R-rated, or, you know, doing, my favorite are probably like the deep dives into some of the historical visual effects and kind of just like trying them ourselves to see what we can learn. And I also do a lot of like explainer videos, for lack of a better word, talking about scientific concepts that I always like to describe it as, I love to take a concept that is not hard to understand, but perhaps not well understood, and try to provide it in a new context that helps people like understand it a little bit better. Yeah.
Well, I think a great one of those was the explainer, where you were trying to give people a sense of scale of the universe, you know, going from Earth being a tennis ball, and then just gradually building out from there.
That was a magic video.
I think,
yeah, that was a good one.
It's great. It's great. I mean, but like, so you can obviously tell that the type of content that you are creating now is sort of markedly different from what it was even just, you know, a few years back. But one of the things that's always impressed me is that you've always been very open, you know, you personally, but also the whole team, about helping to sort of peel back the curtain on VFX.
Totally,
you know, trying to make it a little bit more approachable. I mean, why is that important to you?
I'm a big believer in the democratization of information, I guess. And I think artificial barriers to, I guess, I don't know how to describe this. It's like, I think there are so many creative people out there that could be making incredible stuff that I would enjoy, that I would appreciate. But if the barrier for me to have that enjoyment is them not having proper access to the best information, then I'm missing out. And so I see a bit of a, not necessarily a responsibility or an obligation, but like a self-interest to help arm people with, you know, better information about how to do some of these things. But that's just like, I don't know, that's like a superficial, not superficial. It's just, that's one way to put it. Honestly, I just love talking about what I love, and what I love is visual effects. And so I love being able to just give people new perspectives on this stuff. I love describing how to do things, and like reasoning behind why to do some things certain ways. And yeah, I mean, it just comes down to, I'm very fortunate that I get to like share my passion like this. And I think a lot of people could do that too. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's definitely a sort of generational shift that's happened, you know, whereas, you know, right when I started, there was a lot of people not wanting to share their tricks. They were always very, you know, very precious about these little techniques that they you know, picked up along the way. And now it seems that, you know, there's just a lot of people, a lot of very, very talented people who want to talk, like, you know, like yourself, want to talk about how they made this cool stuff so that more people can make this cool stuff.
Yeah, I've always found that type of mindset a little bizarre, despite I understanding it. Like I get it. You have these people who spent a lot of time trying to figure out these sort of technical programs and learning how to use them, and now that they have a certain amount of value, and from their perspective, their value drops when other people also then get those same sort of abilities, and so it's in their self-interest to make sure that they keep that edge. And I find that bizarre and interesting because I've never really personally experienced that. I've started doing visual effects in 2009-ish, and I learned pretty much entirely from online YouTube tutorials. Like everything I know about visual effects I wouldn't say taught myself, but were available freely to all. Like I didn't go to school for visual effects or filmmaking. I didn't have any sort of official training like that. And so I've never been able to fully relate to that style of thinking of, no, I'm going to be a gatekeeper here so that I can keep my job. I've always been a believer that, like, I think we should all share this knowledge because then we will all get better together.
I think that's definitely something that YouTube has actually, has really given to a lot of people. It's changed a lot of people's outlooks because, this information is freely available to them. Well, not freely available, you have to find the right people, but it is available to you. But I mean that sort of takes me back a little bit, just because you didn't you said you didn't go to school for this stuff, but so how did you get started in VFX?
I mean, dude, I got started in visual effects almost by accident. So like, I guess when I was in high school, I had like one of those like editing classes, and so I learned how to edit in high school. And between high school and college, I got into that a little bit. And I guess my first foray into visual effects started with like the simplest of effects, like the clone effect, where you literally just you shoot a video on a tripod and you're standing in one part of the frame, and then you shoot another shot on standing in the other half of the frame, and you layer those two video clips above each other in the editing timeline, and you crop one of them to be half of it. So then you end up with two of yourselves on screen at the same time. That was literally my very first visual effects shot, and I didn't even use an effects program for it. But I spent a few years just kind of never really getting past that point, every now and then kind of experimenting with that. But it wasn't until I discovered Video Copilot and Film Riot. It was like January of 2009, and I was in college at the time. I had just gone through a breakup, and so I was spending a lot of time just like sitting on my laptop. And over the course of like 2 months, I watched every single After Effects tutorial on Video Copilot, like .net, like every single one. And I had never even opened the program. And it wasn't until that summer that I was finally able to afford an actual computer. I built a desktop computer that I was able to afford because I had been rear-ended in my car. I'd gotten into a car accident, and the insurance payout to fix my bumper, I had an old beater car. I didn't care about the bumper. So instead of putting that money towards the bumper, I built a computer, and that is why I am here today. So yeah, I got into visual effects because it was extremely interesting to me, because I had no idea that you could do this type of moving magic using like literally a home computer. It was such a mystery to me. And I had always just gone through life with this presumption that the crazy cool visual effects I see in movies are just unachievable by regular people. And so it's been kind of like a subconscious mission of mine over the last 10 years making YouTube videos to just spread the awareness that like, no, anyone can do this. You just got to like sit down and learn how to do it, and then you can just do it. Especially these days when most of the tools are free, most of the knowledge is free. You can live, there's nothing stopping you. The barriers to entry are negligible, other than like hardware costs that you can get around.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I think this is a really good time to plug all of the video tutorials on borisfx.com. Free, hundreds of hours worth of free tutorials. No, but that's actually it's a really interesting point, or a really good point, that the tools are a lot more available now than they've ever been. You know, I think I was thinking about this earlier today, because obviously when I was, trying to figure all of this stuff out myself, YouTube wasn't a thing. You know, when I was a teenager, YouTube was a very, very distant, or distant in the future,
Right? Yeah.
type of technology. So the closest I ever got to finding that sort of behind the scenes magic was on those. They used to run like half-hour little promos for up and coming films, and there was one for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where they were talking all about the sort of, you know, behind the scenes stuff there, and that was absolutely fascinating to me. And and it was those things that actually, you know, sparked me into sort of trying to figure out what could possibly be. And like the first time I heard about rotoscoping was from one of those. It was like a Lily Tomlin film, and it was doing that exact thing you were saying, the little clone stuff where the screen was split in the middle, but they had one little thing where a hand would pass through the pass over the seam, and that was a huge big effect. Those days are slightly behind us now. So things are a little bit, a little bit easier.
We're on the cusp of it going away entirely, but we're not there yet.
Getting there. Luckily, you know, we've still got a little bit of time. I mean, but that takes me on to talking about, like, one of the things that you do on the, not you as a person, also you as a person, you as a team,
right,
on the channel, go about recreating classic VFX to sort of, you know, try and bring them up to date, or recreate them using modern technology.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, does that give you a sort of wider appreciation of the shot? I mean, and sort of, can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, we've done this a few times now. I think the first one we did was like the Tron video, where that one was like, okay, here are some of the first computer generated effects ever created, and it took them a very long time. Can we do it with modern tools in a much shorter amount of time? I think that's a very compelling thought. And so a lot of our video ideas are entirely based on just like little thoughts like that. Like, is this, like, what would that look like? And when we go into these videos, you know, we don't ever actually like know how it's going to go. We don't know how easy or hard or what the specific challenges are going to be. And so we end up having to discover those along the way. And yeah, so it's like another one that we did after this one was the Terminator 2 effect, where the T-1000 like walks through the jail bars and his gun gets caught, and like the bars go through his face and like it warps around it. And that was like one of the most iconic shots from the early 90s, because people had never seen something like that before. They're like, what did I just see? And so us trying to redo that was a very big learning experience, because it's like, the premise here was that, like, Peter and we both tried very different methods to achieve the same type of effect, and we succeeded. We did the effect. Oh my gosh. That serious face, Jesus. But at the same time, you know, it's like, I certainly gained a huge appreciation for how much effort went into that original shot, because the original shot, at the end of the day, looked better than what Peter and I had made. Granted, there's a whole list of reasons that I could spout as to why that's the case. The time we had, the revisions, the craftsmanship involved on the original one, despite the technical limitations. It's like, yeah. And so I gained a huge appreciation for those artists. But the problem is that, like, YouTube or people in general have a little bit more of a stark black and white perspective on things. And so I started seeing a lot of comments being like, the original shot's better. Like, you know, you guys suck. And it's like, man, I don't mind someone criticizing my work. Like, I've been experiencing that for a very long time. We've never had the best visual effects. We just have cool videos that have cool visual effects doesn't necessarily mean they're good effects. I like to think that they're good some of the time, perhaps a lot of the time, but whatever. Point being, I realize that I think we can do better about creating better context, because even today, like literally right now, there's this trend going on online where people are saying CGI has gotten worse and worse over the years, and that, you know, the effects from these modern movies that are coming out this year are just bad. And I just fundamentally hate that mentality, because it's just such a shallow take, and it's also just not true, but they don't know any better. And so it just reinforces my opinion that like we need to be doing more to help inform people about the challenges involved, and arm people with a better like vocabulary and understanding about this stuff. Because I feel like even if something's bad, with the right context and understanding, you can feel less salty about it. And the general public are brutally honest with their interpretations of whether something is good or not. And yeah, it's just very interesting. It's a strange challenge
sometimes
to have.
just brutal rather than brutally honest. Sometimes just brutal. But I mean, I think that's where VFX artists react. That's that series. I think actually that's one of the things that I gained a lot of appreciation for, because when you first started doing that, I'm gonna put all of my cards on the table. Be brutally honest right now. I thought that this was just going to be another one of those blah 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 react, you know, lawyer reacts, swimmer reacts type of things, just getting quick clicks. But actually, it wasn't that at all, and I was amazingly not surprised, but happy that it wasn't just that, because. Okay. I mean, I was a bit surprised, but really, what was going on there is that you have not just yourselves, but you also have professional artists talking about their effect and giving a bit more of a context to what was going on, and you know, recognizing that there is bad CG, but there's also a lot of underappreciated work as well that's coming out, and I think that's where do you see do you see yourself as having a role in helping to inform people about those misconceptions?
I mean, it feels egotistical to say yes, but at the same time, like objectively, there's not really any other channels out there talking about visual effects on YouTube as much as we do. You know, you have like Vox, who makes some very good videos every now and then about like certain aspects of the visual effects pipeline, and it has that same sort of mentality of trying to pay respect to the art form. But, you know, like, we have a new video going up every single Saturday, and without fail, that video has gotten 1 million views at least. And so just objectively, it's like there's a lot of people that are receiving this new information that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, that I you know, like I was saying, it feels egotistical to say that, like, yes, we've made a bit of an impact in that regard, but I do think it is true. Whether or not it's true to a large degree or not, I will leave other people to debate. But your first point about like thinking it was just going to be reactions, the show, we going into the very first episode, the first episode was just a one-off. It was just like an idea we had. Let's try to do it because the new Sonic trailer had dropped and everyone was saying how bad Sonic looked. And we're like, well, okay, we can talk about why it looks bad and arm people with the correct reasoning, because we were getting frustrated that people were complaining about how bad Sonic looked, and we're like, we agree. And then they would say why they think it is, and we're like, no, actually, that's wrong. That's not why it looks bad at all. You're right in that it looks bad. You're wrong in why it looks bad. And so we took a lot of inspiration from a lot of the sort of, not necessarily react videos in that format, but more so the experts weighing in on pop culture references to their expertise, their profession or whatever, because I think people are really interested in learning from an expert in a field talking about their field. And so, you know, like there, you know, you get like the insert any expert in a field talking about movies that reference what they do every single day, and just you don't have to learn anything meaningful from it, but it is interesting to be like, oh, I never knew that. This is a shockingly bad thing to do. Like, why do movies continue showing it this way type stuff? And so that was where we took most of our inspiration for going forward with that show. There have been times where the sort of like clowning around gets a little bit more than the educational aspect of the show, because we've always tried to maintain an even balance of informed educational content while also having that sort of entertaining, sitting with your friends, enjoying a movie or a game or whatever. It's like there's a whole side of that. It is, at the end of the day, entertainment rather than pure education.
Yes.
Me personally, with the content that I personally try to push through is what I would call edutainment. It's entertainment first, but it has educational value. And so we've tried to maintain that mantra throughout the show. And I think that is why that show has continued to be successful. I don't know how much longer it's going to be successful. I've always said that this is a really fun wave to surf, and I'm going to ride this wave as long as I can. But, who knows what the future will look like? Who knows? I don't know.
Well, if we've learnt one thing from YouTube, it's that YouTube viewers are not fickle. So they are very, very steadfast, and you'll be there forever. No, I actually 100% agree with what you're saying, what the actual draw of that show is, because there is a lot of meat there, but it's also fun, and I think that's what people appreciate, and by people I mean me. So keep doing it. So
I mean, yeah, we don't have any intention to stop. We're getting more and more. Yeah.
Is that an exclusive? There we go. We need to break some news here. Every show we try and break some news. The breaking news is you're not stopping the show. Okay, excellent. Yeah. I mean, but from your interactions, like, what are sort of common misconceptions about VFX that newcomers have then? Because obviously, VFX are almost ubiquitous now, so it's people sort of assume that they're easy. So what sort of stuff have you seen?
There is a bit of a disconnect there, because people, you're absolutely right, they have become so incredibly ubiquitous that people just presume that they're easy to do, and so when effects look off or are noticed more than anything, people take note and just say that they're bad. Like, people are saying the effects in Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie, are bad. And I'm like, there's literally 80 out of the 3,500 or some thousands of shots in that movie. There's less than 100 that have zero visual effects in them. And the vast majority of them, no one ever noticed. And so it's like, how can people say that effects are bad when they are very clearly not, as evidenced by them not noticing that there were effects at all? It's so the ubiquitous thing and the easiness thing kind of comes down a little bit to people not understanding computers. I take this for granted, because I understand computers I like to think that I'm pretty good with computers, as are you, as are a lot of people watching this stream right now. Anyone interested in visual effects, chances are they're good with computers. Most people, because there are literally hundreds of millions of people who use computers, are not good with computers. And so there's this sort of misunderstanding and mystery involved that leads them to just kind of assume that all people are doing are pressing buttons, like that there's not really any sort of artistic decision-making or complex things going on. They're like, oh, you simulated that? So you just opened up a scene and made the computer do something? That doesn't sound too hard. Ooh. So I see a lot of that, I guess, and these days, you see a lot of people who, like I'm saying, it's like people notice when something looks off. They don't know why, but they notice it. And so with with things like Twitter and online discourse, Reddit, yada, yada, like, people are way more prone to just spouting their opinions as they see them without any regard for context or, you know, anything. And that's part of the beauty of the internet, and that's part of the shame of the internet. And so I think it comes down to the mystery. The lack of understanding of how any of this works leads them to you know, it's the same reason why so many scientists back in the Middle Ages and Renaissance era were like burned at the stake. They're bringing advanced stuff in here, but oh no, we're people of God. You're a demon. That's perhaps a bad comparison, but it's in that vein.
I think, yeah.
From misunderstanding,
I get where you're going. Yeah.
Hate.
Yeah, I think that's actually really important. Is that there is a sort of expectation of absolute perfection, and when you see even the slightest bit of the veil drop, then people go, "Oh no, that's it. It's the worst thing ever. It's ruined forever." Without, again, like you're saying, like without taking into account the the context of the piece. I often say that if you're looking at individual pixels, or you're looking at a little bit of something that just flashes just for a brief moment, then often that's not the VFX fault. It's not the VFX artist's fault. It's the storyteller not focusing the story, or the story not being compelling enough that you can't overlook just like a small little mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a difference in my opinion about stuff that takes you out of the story and stuff where you're just being needlessly cruel for as a viewer. I'm obviously keeping this very, very clean, because that's what we are. Boris FX is a very, very clean stream.
No, absolutely. I mean, I agree.
I think let's move on, because I know we've got we do have a time limit, unfortunately, because I could obviously be chatting with you for days, but we'll move on a little bit to software. Okay. Like, thinking about software, what software development has been most exciting for you in your time as a VFX artist? Been doing this for a good while now, so you've seen quite a few changes.
I mean, yeah, I literally got started in After Effects. Like I was editing full videos in After Effects before learning Premiere and nonlinear editing in general, but
crazy.
That has, I got more into 3D stuff. I first learned 3D in 3ds Max and migrated over to Cinema 4D. And I now have this sort of knowledge of how 3D systems work and whatnot. But it's the modern technologies that have come out over the last several years. A lot of the AI driven machine learning type advancements, obviously deep fakes, but it's so much more than that. We're starting to see AI really make a lot of the really inefficient and laborious processes become easy to do. And that's bringing down that barrier to entry. And that's what I love and find most exciting. And so I think the thing that I'm most excited about right now are the advancements being made in the sort of filmmaking / visual effects pipeline using just our phones. We can do incredible photo scanning now using just our phones. We can do camera tracking using just our phone. We can do rendering using just our phones. And so like this year it's a goal of mine to try to like find more of those workflows. Obviously we've seen the real-time rendering side of like, Unreal, of course, become more of a thing over the last couple of years. Yeah. Things are getting quicker, they're getting better, and they're getting easier to use. And so that sort of progression is what I find more exciting than any specific program, I guess.
Yeah, I think that you're right. The sort of techniques are sort of constantly kind of changing and developing. But I think at the heart of it, then there is a lot of the sort of core elements that are always going to be the same. No matter what you're doing, the tools get better and more refined, but the actual thinking behind it, I think, is is something that is going to be, definitely, stay the course, whatever area you're working in. And I think that goes back to actually those classic effect shots again. And what I appreciated the most, like when you were talking about the T2 shot, the fact that you had two people choosing very, very different techniques.
Yeah.
And yet when it came to it, like there was a lot of overlap in the thinking of the thought process going on there. So
yeah, like
which sort of leads me. Oh, sorry, go for it.
Okay, no, go ahead. I was gonna give a piece of advice.
No. I'm just going to say that there is actually a nice little satellite delay on this, so we will be speaking over each other at some points.
But yeah, like so. But on that thought, though, it's like there's people ask me, like, should I go to school for visual effects? And that is a valid way to go for a lot of people. We just hired a new visual effects artist here who went to a VFX school, and he actually used to be a teacher at a VFX school. And that's certainly valid. But I also just kind of find that technical things like learning how to use programs, you kind of got to do that yourself, or have a specific mentor walking you through things anytime you have any questions. And you only learn by figuring stuff out yourself. So when it comes time to, like, should I go to school for visual effects? I almost feel like you'd be better off in the long run going to school for either filmmaking or art, like literally get a fine art degree, understand why art is good, and the sort of reasoning behind a lot of that stuff, like what makes composition work in our brains, what makes light and color and stuff like that just work or not work. Having that sort of understanding informs everything else above it, including everything technical. And so I think, Sam and Nico, for instance, both got filmmaking degrees, and Nico got an additional like art degree. I got an engineering degree, and completely different. But I have also spent the last year working with these incredible filmmakers and artists, and I have gained so much knowledge just specifically from them and from that experience. And so I don't know, I think anyone can learn programs, but it's harder to learn taste.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. I also think that having an appreciation and understanding of light, of the practical aspects of filmmaking, are the things that actually set proper artists apart. That's where people can actually see the difference in quality. If you have an understanding of light, the physical aspect of light, what happens when you put a light up here, what happens when you put a light up here, the qualities of light,
100%.
That's what's going to help to sort of raise your compositing skills up. Because if you don't understand how something's meant to look in real life, then how are you actually going to try to recreate that inside a computer? It's just not going to happen properly. It's always going to look off.
Yeah. I 100% agree. It's the foundation of everything. I mean, it's literally in the name, visual effects artist. It's not After Effectsist. We are artists.
So that has got a catchy ring to it. After Effects. All right, I've got one more question before we have to take our first break.
Okay.
And this I was going to save this to the end, but I actually don't. I'm going to save a more heavy hitting question till the end. And this one is, what effect are you most proud of when you look back at all of the little short films that you've made?
Oh boy.
What one effect are you most proud of?
Okay, I think I was about to say I've done so many effects that I've completely lost track of any of them. But I happen to have the Corridor YouTube channel open right now, and because you're playing the world's longest lightsaber video in that intro, and I was like, how many views does that have now? And it's like, it's so much more than I thought. It's at 176 million
It's
views.
got a couple. Yeah,
it's insane to me. Anyway, the shot I'm probably most proud of is the Nerf Team Fortress big mounted machine gun, because that was like one of the it's not the first 3D shot I had done, but it was the first time I'd ever made like a transformer, because that's essentially what it was. It was this transformer. I had downloaded a whole bunch of like 3D models of Nerf guns, and I was very early in the days of using Octane render and like HDRIs and stuff like that, getting reflections, and so I don't know. I think it's one of the coolest shots I've ever done, and for my abilities at the time, I'm incredibly proud that I was able to pull it off, because there's a lot of like little subtleties, like when the last little guns come into place, they actually bounce up. That's like one of those subtle artistry things that I've learned to add to stuff like that in animation that newer artists perhaps wouldn't do. They would just be like, eh. And you see that all the time in animations. Like everything's just very like linear and static, but it's like having the easy ease in, so it actually like looks like it's starting to fall and accelerate and then bouncing off and then settling, gives it that sort of organic, real feel to it. And yeah, I'm very proud of that shot. It's a big moment in the video. It's literally the climactic moment of the video. Yeah, here we go. And
nice.
Yeah, and so that's probably the shot I'm most proud of.
Cool. I think that's great. I love it. Absolutely love it. I was going to tell a long and involved story about my own stuff, but it's not always about me. Not always about me. All right, Wren, we're gonna come back. We're gonna take a really, really short break now to get some practical stuff. But after we do that, are you going to be all right to show us some stuff on your screen?
Yeah, certainly. I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, you are watching Boris FX Live. I am Ben Brownlee. We are talking to Wren from Corridor Digital, and thank you very much for joining us here today. If you're enjoying what you're seeing at the moment, please give us that little thumbs up, that little like. It means nothing to you. It means everything to us. Everything. We are... I actually don't know what it does, but I am sure that the lords of YouTube know exactly what it's doing. All right, we are also on a big subscription drive, so we're going to be giving away some, doing some big things for our first 500,000 subscribers. I will be doing a face reveal at 250, and I will be doing a voice reveal at 500,000. So if you want to do your part, then hit that little subscribe button as well. I just made all that up. Should we just give away some stuff? Brian, let's give away some stuff. All right, here we go. We are going to be giving away an annual subscription to Corridor Digital. This is, well, actually, Wren's going to talk about this a little bit later, but this is the premium stuff behind the scenes. If you like what they're doing on YouTube, you're going to love what they're doing at corridordigital.com. I believe that's the website. And this first one is going to Manny Ratman. Manny Ratnam, congratulations. You have won the first of our annual memberships to Corridor Digital. Let's give away something else. We got another one. That's one, Manny. There we go. We got another one. Come. Let's go. We got some drums. We don't have drums. We do have drums. And our next one is going to Aderic van Tor. Aderic van Tor, or Aderic van Thor. Congratulations, Aderic, for winning the annual membership to Corridor Digital. We've got tons of more stuff to give away. We've got tons of more show coming up as well. We've got 3 more annual subscriptions to give away over the course of this stream. We will also be giving away an annual subscription to Mocha Pro for all of your lovely Mocha-y needs. And our big prize at the end of the stream is a copy of the Boris FX Suite, an annual subscription worth $1,295. That is everything that we make, including Mocha that we're going to be seeing in a second, Sapphire, Continuum, and Silhouette and Optics. So for your chance to win, go to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page and enter in all of your details. It takes but a moment. Full terms and conditions apply. Alrighty, let's get back to the stream then. Let's see, get back to the fun. Wren, are you ready to show us some stuff?
Sure. I mean, I don't have anything like super cool
Yeah.
to show, but yeah, let's do it.
Well,
I'll go ahead and switch over
I think
to screen
you're going to
sharing.
show. Yeah, do that. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to remind everyone to keep your questions coming. I will be looking at all of your questions. We'll be doing a big bit of Q&A a little bit later. So get your questions
Oh, yeah, I
going.
didn't
Go.
even look at the questions. All right. Screen sharing. I think we're screen sharing now.
We are screen sharing now.
So,
Look at that.
Yeah, so I decided to just open up this project from the Attack on Titan video I did last year, the scale of Attack on Titan, one of my favorite little anime shows here. And this is like the last shot of the whole video. I needed to throw something together very quickly to do like the shout out for our computer sponsor. And I was like, all right, let's just do a quick effect here. I use the same models we've been using for the whole video. I'll just continue to let that render and throw them into Mixamo, get them rigged and animated and rendered out at like, yeah, I didn't have time to like 3D camera track this shot. And so but I knew that going into it. So I was like, all right, let's just like swing the camera over, stare at this spot. I'll match the perspective in 3D and then render out a static camera. And so then from there, I will just take the render of that and track it into the footage, just 2D tracking style. And pretty much anytime I got to do tracking, that is not like full 3D tracking, I always use Mocha. And I guess this project I was using Mocha AE rather than Mocha Pro, which I generally tend to use instead. I don't know why I wasn't using it here. Maybe it wasn't installed on the machine I was using at the time. But yeah, it's like literally just a matter of opening up the shot. Like I was like, okay, where's something that's relatively high contrast, flat, and visible long enough that I can pull a good track from it. And so I chose the door here, just threw a few keyframes. This is literally something I threw together in like minutes. This is like the quick and dirty version of all of this. And so, yeah, just tracked it, you hit save. And what I usually like to do is I like to kick it out as like a, let's see. Oh, that's why I did that. Okay, yeah. As like a 2D null object here, I guess I exported a corner pin effect here. I haven't gone through this project file since last year, but
Nice.
yeah. And so, and that works wonders. It's like, if I was to like just straight up not have this at all, like here's the actual full render that we have here. And so, them just being static as is, it's such a stupid moment. Here, let me extend that out. And I think I even say like this shot has no reason to exist, and yet here it is. Like, wow. That butt. This is literally all I rendered out. This is like I just dropped the animations in, threw them in, and got them out. And we actually have a few different passes here. So I have like, of course, the original render here. With a bit of a shadow pass built in. I've got the ambient occlusion pass here that I like to throw on top, but since that tends to darken it a little bit, I like to bring back the highlights with a bit of a glare sort of pass. And typically I like to actually export a legit lighting pass, like a directional lighting pass or like a glare pass. But here in this case, I think I literally just duplicated the render, and some of these effects I don't have on because I guess they're not licensed to this computer currently. But yeah, like a little bit of levels, a little bit of extract, camera lens blur, and then you just set that on top, and yeah, it works. And so like, because of that, okay, now it's obviously not tracked anymore. But just simply taking these, and well, another thing I like to do is I like to keep one layer being the actual thing that is tracked, and everything else is just tracked to that. So my passes are actually tracked to the render layer, and the render layer is parented to the null object here. And so, or I guess the solid, which has all of my keyframes, including corner pin. I don't remember specifically why I did that. If I turn it on, I've got like, I guess a mat for the door if I needed it. It's not a good mat at all, but don't know why. And boom, shot's done. I did this whole shot in less than an hour, like from beginning to end. Like I imported the shot, like I got the animations in, and like Octane renders very fast. So I rendered the whole thing out while I was tracking this shot in Mocha. And then like by the time it was done, I was able to like actually parent it up. And I was like, great, okay, cool. Because there are a lot of other effects that were way more time intensive, such as this one here. And this one was like the big final shot of the video where I'm like walking towards camera here, and this is like one of those super awkward moments when you look at the original footage, because let's see, original footage does end there. Okay, so I'm just gonna duplicate this so I can turn it off later. See if I hit pause, or I literally just like held it there and waited for him to like tilt the camera up. And so like it's very awkward, and in the context of the scene, without the actual like effect in there, is just like hilarious, because you got this epic music, this epic final like statement, and then just me like chomping down on my fist for a few seconds awkwardly as the camera eventually turns away. This shot was really intense. I think I used Mocha for some of this, but this was mostly a lot of like 3D projection and a whole lot of like obviously 2D effects happening in the transition here when I was actually transforming into the Titan. A lot going on. I had to roto myself, a lot of lightning effects going on the ground, lighting, a lot of like pulsating layers of light. Like I actually have like the render of the Titan itself, like scaling up without motion blur, because that was kind of an effect from the show where you can, or like not specifically from the show, but I was taking inspiration from like Ant-Man, for instance, those movies where when they're shrinking or enlarging, instead of having like that motion blur, it's like almost like a really low subsample motion blur where you see the entire like image or silhouette of the figure getting scaled up before eventually like poofing up. And then from here, it's a complete CG takeover. So everything we're seeing now is completely CG based off of obviously the footage captured all of this, but it's all being projected onto geometry that I had created in 3D space and then projected the footage onto, so that when this nightmare fuel ends up like, grabbing the camera, I was going to say picking me up, but this is supposed to be me. So it picks up the camera here, and then let's see if I have the footage of the background. I don't remember where that goes, but yeah, giant plate footage comp. Is this? Yeah, here we go. So wait, that's not doing anything. Okay, interesting. Because the camera gets lifted up and is brought towards the actual, like, he's about to like chomp down on the camera, and so the let's see where, I don't even remember where it is. Background, is that it? Yeah, I think
so it was a good lesson into organizing your layers, obviously.
Yeah, and notice how like I needed to have like a little bit there, so I have the motion tile turned on to kind of like duplicate. That's a pro tip that I use all the time. Throw on a little bit of motion tile, specifically with the mirrored edges and outputting more width, so that like in the event that like you get a little bit of that bleed in, instead of having that solid black background there, it continues on. Obviously, you see some artifacting, but as long as it's not super obvious, it works out. And so this is a rendered directly out of Cinema 4D at this point, because the camera is being lifted up towards the underpass, the concrete here, and you can't just fake that in 2D by scaling up the image. And so that was the thing that I was I guess pretty proud of having achieved for this shot here. A lot going on here. This is like one of those shots that I spent a whole lot of time on. It was one of the last shots too, so I think I pulled an all-nighter Saturday night finishing this shot for the video to be ready by Sunday morning. I'm glad I did, because it came out great. It was a good video. And very well received. It got a lot of views, so yay. But yeah, this was with those videos, we never see any behind the scenes breakdowns of this stuff. So I've never actually shown anyone this project file before, because you know, back in the day, our corridor content was entirely about making a short film and how we made it, and breaking down some of the shots and some of our techniques and some of the project files, some tutorials and stuff. But as we've kind of migrated away from that type of content, so has showing off how this stuff gets built out. And this was one of those shots that I thought was pretty sweet, because there's always so much going on in any given shot. Like, I spent the vast majority of my time like on these moments right here. Like, yeah, as you can see, I got like some sort of effect applied that I don't have a license on this computer for right now. Yeah, just because this is what I like, because this is all complete artistic subjectivity, I guess, because there's not really any sort of established way to do a Titan transformation like this. And so I was able to just kind of flex my perspective on what I think it should look like. And then when we get to this side of it, like, all right, there's a little bit more traditional stuff here. We got skin, we got a giant, we got perspective and all that stuff. And this is a little bit more, you know, people do this sort of thing. So there are rules to adhere to if you want it to look good. Obviously all rules can be broken, but you got to understand the rules before you break them. Anyway, point being, this took a lot of effort, and considering how blown out it is, it's perhaps not good. Like, I don't think I was doing any of this in like freaking linear light or anything like that. I was like, shit, whatever. Yeah. So,
but I mean that does sort of, if I can just sort of break in a second, because there is a question from chat, which I think actually fits in really well here, because like when you're coming up with like a new effect, what's the different thought process that you have to go through, as opposed to not copying an old effect, but sort of working with an established effect?
Working with an established effect. I mean, it's like, I'm not sure how to answer that. You know, an established effect really just means there's a pipeline, right? There's a workflow. This is something that has been done many times before. You have to have a good reason for deviating from that path. You know, it's like if you're hiking down a trail, chances are it's a trail that many people have walked down before. There's not really a good reason to, you know, go off trail and like try to take a shortcut up and over the mountain through all the bushes that you got to now like chop down to be able to, you know, bushwhack through. There are times when that is advantageous. Let's say you actually have a pretty good idea of the land, and you have a pretty good idea that this will save you time or be a better sort of result, and you go that way. Other times it's like, oh, this is a brand new area I've never been to before. There is no trail, and you just got to brute force walk through it until you get to the other side. It's all just kind of comes down to what you're trying to achieve, both with the actual specific technicalities of the shot, but also like the overall goals of the moment. You know, like, is this an important moment? Like, and something we discovered in doing these videos over the years is that, you know, we really have to have the moments be really important. And so, especially with some of the earlier corridor videos, there would always be 3 moments ramping up in sort of like power, I guess. Like the first shot would be like a small little effect, and the next one would be a little bit bigger. Then the final one is the big VFX shot that like, this is the hero shot. This is the big one. And this video in particular has 3 of those moments. They're not exactly in that type of order, but there's one, the very opening shot where I'm like literally sitting inside the mouth of a Titan. I'm a strong believer that the first like 15 seconds of any YouTube video are like, no, it's not even close, far and away the most important part of any video. And so I always strive to make sure that those first few seconds there are as engaging and interesting and as possible to hook any viewer. And then, you know, you got to remind them how cool it is, like, you know, at some point in the video. So like halfway through the video or so, there's like this big Titan fight between these 2 Titans. And then what I also think to be very important about making YouTube videos is you got to end the video in a way that makes people feel excited and have a desire to share the video with someone else. And that was the point of this shot here. It's like, all right, here's the big final shot. This is the big climactic final moment. The last thing I say here, and then it's like, boom, big effect shot. the goal of the moment, rather than the technicalities, is like, I want to leave viewers with like, oh my God, that was so cool. I can't wait to show my friends. And so that they immediately exit out of the video, hit that share button to, send it to their friends. Cause that's how you get views, honestly, is just like, you make content that is good. And what does that mean? You have to make content that makes people who view it want to share it. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. Even if they don't actually share it, if you just plant that seed of desire to get them to do it, is I'm gonna go back to my my camera here. I'm pretty much done talking about that shot. But yeah, it's like, I think it's really important. And so the point of this visual effects shot was to really enforce that idea. That idea was more important than the visual effects shot, even though all of my time and effort went into the visual effects shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of brings me over to me paraphrasing someone else's question, and because like a lot of your content has been chopped up into small 15-second GIFs, and then posted around doing everything. How do you feel about like that sort of work being taken out of context, and like the dangers of people just kind of judging it on maybe 5 seconds rather than the process and the context surrounding it?
I don't get too worried about it. I don't get worked up over it, I should say. It's not something that is healthy for me to worry about, I think. I've been there in the past where I have gotten worked up over it, and there's like no way out of that. There's not like any sort of solution you can come to to deal with that moment. So it's not really worth my time to worry about it. And a lot of the other times is just kind of cool. Like people rarely like post this stuff out of context and to be judged in a negative light. The only time that really happens is with our Bosstown Dynamics videos. Oh, I have not even mentioned any of that. We used Mocha a lot for that project. Dang, I wish I'd thought of that earlier. That was one of the more proud projects I've worked on because of the sort of cultural impact, I think, because it did get a lot of views. It also got shared a whole lot online. I think this might be what you're referring to then, because it would get, that video in particular, that first one, or even the second one, would get like chunks of it would get ripped from the YouTube video and then uploaded to, say, Twitter, where the sort of like ripping and then re-uploading and that recompression really degrades the quality. And then as time has gone over the last couple of years, people have continued to re-download it, re-upload it, re-download that downloaded version and re-upload it to a point that like, just like, it's like a game of telephone. The quality is getting worse and worse, the visual quality, which somehow makes it look more realistic, more believable, because it's like that unifying color grade almost of just compression. So that gets reposted frequently. I'm so surprised. No, let me rephrase. I am not surprised. I'm always just like, there it is again. This continues to be a thing. People have never seen this, apparently. 1 million people have now seen this for the first time in their life today. And it blows my mind. And another one is we did these mildly offensive bowling alley animations last fall, which was a blast.
These were pretty good.
Really funny. And I made one that basically was like, it was a split. And so like the two bowling pins on the side come up and they pierce through Jesus's hands on the cross. It's the stupidest thing, but it's so funny because it's like, it's just offensive enough to be spicy, but not like actually offensive. Like my wife's mother is literally not a priest, a pastor. She's a pastor at a church, and even she found it amusing. So it's like, okay, I think that video works in and of itself. And so that one actually started going viral again a couple days ago. It had gotten like 1 million views on Twitter in a day. And I'm like, I don't know why these things keep blowing up. I don't know why. I'm not exactly surprised, and I'm not offended or upset. And it is cool to see people really jumping in to like defend us, because there can be a big problem with people just re-uploading content. That is our livelihood, is having everyone consume our content through a very specific portal, our YouTube channel. The ads on those channels allow us to continue doing this. And it used to be a bigger problem back in the day when like Facebook freebooting was more of a thing, when our entire video would get re-uploaded. But when it's just like small segments, it's less of an impactor, you know? Like, what are they really like taken away from us in that regard? Like sharing that one little video. If anything, it's advertisement for the full video. Not that I'm saying it's okay just to rip and re-upload our content. I'm not like saying that specifically. I'm just, yeah, it's one of those things that is just, it's very interesting to consider and handle. And it's always nice to have like a lot of responses and comments being like, oh, you should give credit to Corridor and whatnot. I'm like, thank you. But when people start taking that a little too far, like, how dare you steal their content?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, I appreciate the mentality there.
Just turn it down a little bit.
Not worth, dial it back a little bit. Not worth nothing. None of this is worth getting worked up over. We'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I think that's you have obviously cultivated a community that is very protective of what you're doing, and also very enthusiastic about what you're doing. I first actually recognized what was some of your content on a Reddit thread, because the top comment is always linking back to your website to actually say, okay, go see these guys and go do good stuff. So in some ways, that's healthy. I think maybe healthy.
Good. I feel like there's been an overall like community push, not our community specifically, but like in general, like people who consume content, they like these creators and they don't want to just like blindly like hurt them. And so when they're made aware that like this can be a problem, they take it upon themselves to inform other people that it's a problem. And so it's it's good. It's always good that people get their credit. Yeah,
absolutely.
And our website has been a big project for us over the last couple of years too. Trying to diversify away from YouTube, because there have been times where like, oh, YouTube just doesn't work today. I guess we just don't get paid for all of the views we're getting today. That's just how it is, and it's not up to us at all.
That's another thing. Yeah, having your livelihood in the hands of another platform is always a little bit precarious. But I mean, while we're looking at the website, do you want to talk a little bit about about what's up there and the premium subscriptions that people still have a chance to win? Come on, people.
Yeah, I mean, sure, totally. So, we have a website, corridordigital.com, which took a long time for us to even get that URL. Corridordigital.com was literally owned by someone else for so long. It was a big deal when we finally able to get that. But yeah, it's not just reposting all of our YouTube stuff onto a website that you then pay for. It's like, why would you pay for something that you get for free? And so we are trying to provide extra quality, obviously you get like the easy stuff, like, discounts on all of our merchandise that we actually do put a lot of effort and care into making sure is high quality. Because we honestly believe that, make something that people would want to wear first and then want to rep second. Like having your logo on a shirt is great. I love like I'm literally wearing a Video Copilot shirt right now. Like, I get it. But at the same time, wearing like dope stuff is always going to be like cooler than repping someone. And so we take that type of mentality and put it on the website too. Like, why should people care? Why should people subscribe to our website? And so we have exclusive content that is dedicated just to the people who are subscribed to the website. So I think what we came up with was a really novel idea, which is the Greenlight program. And that's the idea of like, okay, every subscriber on our website is now a producer. You get a say in what we make. Because we just make stuff that we want to make and we think will be good, but at the same time, we don't know what people want. And so we have a bunch of ideas. The whole point of the Greenlight system is that with your subscription, you get these points that you can then vote with to say which idea we want to do, we actually do. And so some of our earlier Greenlit shows was the Crew Cuts, which is essentially just a more character-driven and plot or a story-driven vlog. Back in 2016, we started the vlogs on YouTube, which is really when the personality side of our channel started rising up. that's when we realized that people actually care about people, and that we had something there. And so, we started doing vlogs back then, and we did that for years. But over the last several years, we've kind of stopped doing that less and less, focus more on other things, but people miss that. So we've brought that back on the website, and the guys who are working on the Crew Cut show are doing incredible work. And they've been literally posting 2 videos a week for the last 2 years. And yeah, we literally have over 100 episodes so far, and every one is incredibly good. And of course, we also got our own version of master classes, the functional filmmaking show, where each of us did a little bit of a almost like a filmmaking technical tutorial sided type TED Talk sort of thing. And we also have our D&D show, Son of a Dungeon, which we just finished shooting season 2, the tabletop side of that a month or 2 ago. And we're almost done editing all of that. And because our website has grown, we've been able to afford hiring more people to edit that show faster. So that show is actually I don't want to say almost done, but we have edits for all of the episodes so far, and we're scheduled to start shooting the green screen elements of the show in a couple weeks here. A big draw of the Son of a Dungeon show is the fact that we're using virtual production to recreate some of the cooler moments from the actual D&D show or gameplay itself, and that's just one of those special little extra things that we're trying to provide that no one else is really providing. And this is still such early days for the website. The bottleneck is literally our bandwidth. We are doing everything we can right now to put out as much as we can, and it still doesn't, at least to me, doesn't feel like it's enough. And so over time, we'll be able to do more. I'm very excited for it. And so if anyone who subscribes to the website is you're already going to have an incredible wealth of good content, but it's that catalog of exclusive website only content is just going to continue growing. So I'm very excited about the future of the site. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, should we give someone the chance to win a subscription right now then? Let's do that. We'll take a little break, another little break, come back. We've got time for a few more questions. So get your questions coming in. Keep tapping away. Tap, tap, tap. If you're on YouTube, tap, tap, tap in the chat window. If you're on Boris FX Live, double chat. Tap, 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 tap. Up, top right. Go, go, go. Do it. Right. Let's give away some stuff. Okay, the next prize we have is, let's have a look. Mission Control. We have got, the drum rolls come in. My eyes are all wandering. I don't see who's winning it. Who knows? It's me. I've won. Oh no, it's Cornell Williams. Cornell Williams, you have won the annual subscription. Well done, Cornell. Congratulations. Oh. All right, should we give away one more prize as well? What have we got coming up now? Oh, we've got drum rolls. And we've got Anshul Jain. You have won an annual subscription to Boris FX Mocha Pro. Congratulations. That's huge. Well done.
Yeah.
If you're in the chat, post your claps. Woo! If you want to win some more stuff, we still have the chance to win more prizes. We have a couple more prizes still available. If you go to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, fill in all of your details. You can win one of 2 Corridor Digital annual subscriptions we have left. And we also have the big boy, Boris FX Suite, an annual subscription of everything that we make, including Mocha Pro, Silhouette, Sapphire, Continuum, and of course, Optics. So don't hesitate. Go to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom, enter your email for a chance to win. The time is ticking. There is not a lot of time left for you to enter. If you're watching on YouTube and you're enjoying what we're doing so far, obviously there's one other thing that you need to do. That is go and have a little look at that thumb that's just underneath your viewer. Make sure it's blue for me, please. It is a magic blue thumb. You only unleash the magic when it is blue. If it's not blue, if it's hollow, it's sad. Don't make the thumb sad.
It's hollow and sad.
All right. enough of this nonsense. Let's get back to talking with Wren. Wren, thank you for indulging me
Of course.
in my flights of fancy. We have questions from chat if you're ready for a few of them. Let's have a look. I've got my magic pieces of paper. Ooh. This is my trusty thing. All right.
Paper magic.
Here we go. When do you know when to scrap a shot? So if a shot's not working, at what point do you just go, this ain't working?
Good question. That's obviously a very much so case by case basis. It's like there's this idea called the sunk cost fallacy, that like you've put a lot of time and money into an endeavor of some sort that is just not really working. And yet you're like, I've come this far, I might as well keep going. And that's a fallacy, because you're more often than not better off just scrapping that and trying something else, going a different direction, than to just desperately trying to make your original endeavor work. Whatever that endeavor is, maybe it's a big complicated VFX shot, or maybe that endeavor is simply going out to lunch. It doesn't matter what it is, it's that idea. And so you're asking, like, at what point do you make that decision to be like, all right, this is a sunk cost, scrapping it and doing something else. And it comes down to like, how bloated is your project at this point? Like, I actually had this happen this week. We were doing this, I think this Sunday's Corridor Crew video is about me remaking the camera rig that they used in the movie 300, that got that super iconic, like, side moving, speed ramping slow-mo shots. Watching all the action as Leonidas is like going through, and it's like punching in on his like hit and then going back out wide to see the full army. Like, we made that camera rig using 3 different iPhones, each shooting in slow-mo. Anyway, I got the footage onto my computer from our first test for that, and one of the iPhones wasn't able to record at 240 frames per second. It was only recording at 205. And so it created this sort of like choppiness that I didn't really understand at first. And so I was trying all these different things to fix it. And at a certain point, I realized I had just done so much stuff that I would have to undo and fix so much of that in order to make the final shot work, that it will save me time to start over from scratch. And this is something that I know Andrew Price, the Blender Guru, has said before. It is like, there's a lot of value in just starting over from scratch, because you will do it faster, you will do it better. And so, it goes back to the whole idea of iterating on ideas. You learn so much from what you've just done. And it like, you're working on a project, your program crashes. Oh, you forgot to turn autosaves on. Oh, you haven't saved your project in an hour. You've just lost an entire hour's worth of project, and that hurts your soul. We've all been there. We all understand how much that hurts. It sucks. And yet, most people don't really acknowledge that, like, having to redo that entire hour's worth of work, not only are they usually able to do it a little quicker, it's always a little better too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
There's nothing inherently
bad
bad about redoing something if you think you have a better approach for it.
Yeah, and I think that sort of plays in. I often say, fail often and fail fast. That's it. If you're gonna, it's a lot easier to turn around and sort of head down a different road if you've only gone a little bit down that road. It's a lot more difficult to just sort of keep plodding down the wrong way, knowing that you're actually going to have to turn back at the end anyway. And that's something that really just, that was an absolute revelation to me, is that when I found out that I didn't have to just brute force these things to try and make it work. Actually, you can sit down, think about it, start again. What doesn't work, you've probably got an idea for what's going to work next time.
And of course there's always
so my answer,
there's always circumstances where you can't afford to just restart the shot. Either you don't have time, you don't have the budget, for whatever reason you can't really do that, and maybe you do have to just like freaking just finish it, get it working, and get it out there. You know, I always think it's better to finish something than to yeah, you're better off in that scenario just like finishing it wherever you're at, even if it sucks, than to try to scramble for something else or what, you know, whatever. Like everything is dependent on the situation.
Obviously, and it's all dependent on, you know, knowing your deadlines as well and being realistic with what you're doing in a shot, which is, you know, why if you're going to fail with something, you fail early. People often fall into the trap of making the first attempt at a shot look perfect instead of doing like a proof of concept on it.
Yeah.
In my experience, that's a dangerous, dangerous mindset to have. The first proof of concept doesn't have to look good. It just has to give you the confidence that this is the right way of doing it. But I mean, going on with that, like, what do you do when like a specific technique fails? Like you sort of, do you have like a hierarchy of ideas of, a sort of a problem solving, pattern recognition type of thing? You know, what does your flow chart look like? Your mental flow chart?
Problem solving. I love it. I mean, if a certain technique is not working, there's a problem. If something's not looking right, there's a problem. And the first thing I always try to do anytime I identify a problem is I try to define the problem as best I can. Sometimes it's as simple as like, oh, why did this not turn on? Like, why does this glitch out or whatever reason? Sometimes it's a little bit more subtle and subconscious, like, why does this not look right? Or why did this shot not get delivered in time? Or, you know, something like that, where it's a little bit harder to define the actual problem, because it's always more important to define the problem correctly than to identify the best solution. Because this is like in that vein of like first principles thinking, where it's like break it down to the most fundamental levels. And then once you've identified what the actual core problem is, then you can work towards solving that. And that is outside the bounds of any sort of like actual technical thing. Like that's outside the bounds of what program you're using, what your hardware you're using, what time of day it is, and anything like that. It's literally just, okay, simplest elevator pitch version of the problem. What is it? Okay, now that you have that, then it's a matter of breaking down the steps to solve that problem. It's not like, oh, I guess I just gotta track the shot better. Great. It's okay. No, the problem is that it's a bad track. Rather than, or let's say that the problem is a bad track. And so you've identified that that's the core problem. This doesn't look right because the track is bad. That's the problem. And so you're like, okay, I have to track better. Great. That's the goal. Break that down into steps. What do I got to do? Well, I was using the After Effects 2D point tracker system like an idiot. And so I'm going to use Mocha instead to track this shot. Second problem. I don't know how to use Mocha. Well, good thing there's a whole ton of tutorials out there on how to use it. I should probably watch a few of those first. And it's like, you kind of just like try to break out the steps involved to get to that final solution. And especially if you can list it out and get it outside of your head so you don't have to think about it and you can just reference it. That'll allow you to get to these solutions easier and quicker.
Excellent. No, I think that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Like breaking a shot down, breaking a problem down is the fastest and best way of coming up with a proper working solution. Another question from chat is, as a VFX artist, is it better to be more of a generalist, or should you start to specialize in a particular area? And how specialized should you get?
So again, that really depends upon what you as an artist want in life, and you probably don't know what you want in life just yet. If you're asking this question, you probably don't really know where you want to be in 5 or 10 years. And so if that is the case, you know, perhaps generalist is the better way to go. You know, like a lot of people going into college don't know what their major should be, so they just take a bunch of different classes until they kind of start realizing what their truly interested in and passionate about, and then kind of pursuing that direction. The thing about being a generalist is that you do a little bit of everything. And especially here at Corridor, we are like the epitome of generalists. Like, we are the most general of generalists, because not only are we using a bunch of different like visual effects like techniques, we get the whole filmmaking process involved too, sound design, music, shooting and editing. So generalist versus specializing. I think it's important to start as a generalist to really be certain in yourself that this is somewhere you want to go. And then from there, then you can start getting more specialized in something you're truly passionate about. For instance, I'm a generalist, as I've said, but if I was to become a specialist in any sort of visual effects category, it'd probably be in like simulations, like smoke simulations, water fluid simulations type thing. I did not go down that path. I am an okay simulator, depending on what it is we're doing. But I can easily see myself being an incredibly good effects artist, like simulation effects artist, had I dedicated the last 10 years of my life towards that. And that would make me incredibly valuable to a very specific niche, right? Like if you want to go into big studios, the kinds of studios that are literally hiring hundreds of artists, they're not going to hire generalists. They're not going to hire a team of 10 generalists to do all the smoke simulations for a movie. They're going to hire people who know how to do this. And they're going to hire the best people they can find who are willing to join them on board to do this. And those best people are going to be the people who have put their experience points into that specialty. And so, yeah, this is a good question, and it's an important one, because it really guides the sort of path people take in life. And so I'm a firm believer that you should start as a generalist to then try to learn what it is you want to focus in. And sometimes that focus could be like, oh, I actually really like doing freelance work. That involves having to do a whole bunch of stuff for, like, let's say it's even CGI freelance stuff. Like, you're doing like actual like renders and whatnot. Well, you got to be pretty good at doing renders, but you also got to be pretty good at like compositing and like, exporting and all that stuff. Whereas if you're a specialist in, say, simulations, you don't have to know anything about how to set up like textures on shaders and lights and stuff like that. Someone else takes care of that. You don't have to know anything about how to use compositing programs. You're just worried about like turbulence and laminar flow and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you got to discover for yourself what you want to specialize in, and that will guide you where to go. Yeah,
absolutely. And okay, let's take us in a slightly different direction. We're gonna do a sort of quick round now. So fast answers only. You're stuck on a desert island. You've got 3 filters that you've packed in your suitcase. What are they on this desert island?
Like.
Yeah, video effect filters. Like, because
filters.
No, like computer filters, computer video filters. There we go. This is a desert island where you have your own. You've still got your rig, and you've got to entertain yourself for the next 10 to 12 years. So you have a copy of After Effects. You've got the basic filters, and you've got 3 other filters. Which filters are you taking to keep yourself entertained for the next 12 years on a desert island? It's you, coconuts, your computer, and these filters.
Well, I would say the first effect filter, I guess, would be Effects Console from Video Copilot, because they make that. It's all in that shortcut, like I don't have to like browse through the menu to find the effect I'm looking for. I literally just like hit a shortcut, type it out, hit enter, or hit a shortcut, hit the shortcut again, another shortcut for the filter I want. So that would be the first one I'd have. And then the 1 and 2 slots would be probably Mocha Pro. And
another copy of Mocha Pro. Excellent. Yeah.
And Mocha AE. I used Mocha for a big like project, a personal project last year, where I was having to paint out the one wheel from underneath a bunch of like people's feet, and that involved creating a lot of clean plates from scratch. And I literally did like 3 different techniques throughout the course of that video, and the one that was certainly the easiest and fastest was using Mocha to basically like planar track the ground and take clean plates and be like, all right, here's my clean plate for the next bit here. Like I got my track, it's already there. You maximize the corner pins to the screen, so it's already like in place, and then it just stays stuck to the ground. And then you just do that over and over again until you have a clean plate covering the entirety of the one wheel throughout the shot, without having to do any sort of 3D tracking, without having to do any sort of projection mapping or anything, which I did do for some of the other shots that required it, but most of them I was able to just use Mocha. So like 2D distortion emulating 3D projection.
Yeah, there's, with a lot of those removes, there's so much you can do with 2D. You don't have to sort of jump into projection mapping straight away. Treat yourself. Be good to yourself. Do the simple stuff first, and then sort of try the different techniques if that didn't fail. Mocha's got mega plates as well. If you want to create big giant clean plates that you can then just whack along. There's tons of stuff within that are designed for those exact type of shot, and that's the reason why people reach for them. Not just on desert
one
islands.
Of my biggest struggles is that like I keep seeing all these new tools come out and all these like really cool features of stuff, and I just don't have a chance to really explore them, like mega plates. When I first saw like the tutorial for mega plates, I was like, that's so cool. I want to use that. Like, I don't have a project to use it on. Oh.
Well, this is this is where people can help, isn't it? By signing up to a subscription for Corridor Digital, and then choosing those types of shots on the green light.
There
not
you
saying
go.
anything at all. All right, okay. Let's do one more quickie, and then we'll have to start to wrap up, I'm afraid. I was going to say what are the 3 most important tricks you've learned in your career, but actually what are the 2 most important tricks you've learned in your career? Because this is where I focus in. We really find out who you are.
Oh boy. I'm gonna, so it's 2 words, 2 things that are like, just like, I guess the headings to an entire huge chapters. One being communication. I think above all, good communication is probably the best thing you can have. Like people make fun of like communications majors, like not being hard, like it's an easy like major to get, but I'm talking about the idea of good communication, like being able to convey thoughts and ideas concisely and efficiently and effectively. And so the better you can be at doing that, the more effective you will be in whatever job it is you have, whether that's explaining to your boss why you're not able to do something on a timeline that they were hoping for, or why you're having personal troubles with someone. Like there are ways to sort of circumvent the troubles you get from bad communication, where you end up with like conflicting emotions, and then that leads to arguments and anger, and then nothing good comes from bad communication. So that's the first thing that I think has helped me in my career. Obviously, with the other side of that being like being better at communication has made my videos better too, and that is something I've focused on. But I think that can help anyone in any career, is always work on getting better communication and being open and honest. And secondly, flexibility, being able to roll with changes, because especially with stubborn people, I can be very stubborn at times. It's painful to change. And I think people in general, like it's part of human nature to resist change. And so that can lock you into ways of thinking. It can lock you into ways of doing things that perhaps are not good, and even worse, to a point where they're becoming detrimental, but you're locked in your way. You don't want to change. And there are times when like sticking to a path that is good and whatnot, but like being able to objectively look at any situation, whether it's a small local one, like within a single project file, or a big one, like the changing landscape of how YouTube works, and your company is starting to die because the type of content you make doesn't work on YouTube anymore. If we continued to make YouTube videos like we did in 2013 and 14, we would have gone out of business years ago, like every single other YouTube channel that focused on making cool visual effects short films did. They all did. Like, we are literally the only ones left. I mean, Film Riot has managed to like stay around. I would say they're less about visual effects. They're more about filmmaking, and they make great content and have also evolved over the years. But like, being able to react to changes and be flexible enough to change your way of thinking and change anything depending on new information, you know, like nothing's ever concrete fact. There's always like new stuff that can change the context of something. So I am always trying to be open-minded about stuff. I can have a certain way of thinking and a certain mindset and a decision process. I may even say things, but that doesn't mean I have to hold on to that thought or that process or idea forever. Something new can come out, and I can, as long as I take that and look at it objectively and be open and flexible to change, things will be better. I'll have a better understanding. I'll have a better way of thinking. And I benefit from that. And if more people are flexible to that sort of thing, I think we'd all be better.
Yep. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. I think those are two very, very, very strong things that are going to help you, especially in this career. And this leads me actually into my final question. This comes also from chat, and they're asking, you know, are there any tips, tricks, shortcuts to being able to sort of keep momentum going? And, you know, what are the dangers of burnout happening here as well?
What are the tips and tricks for just like keeping on? Deadlines.
Yeah,
probably.
there we go. That's,
you know, like discipline. So I have ADHD, which means that it is very difficult for me to like stay on task for things and like kind of organize my time effectively. Executive dysfunction makes starting tasks very difficult until I reach a stage where like panic sets in. And if I don't have any sort of deadlines in place, I can just work on something forever, or maybe lose interest in something after a week or two. And then like it could have consumed all of my attention for that week, but then the week after, I just don't care about it anymore. But having deadlines and being disciplined enough to hold those deadlines will get you into a position where you just continue holding to that. And of course, that is a wave that you got to ride between that and burnout. If you try to go too hard on that and you're constantly having deadlines getting you to crank and finish stuff out and then moving on, you get burnout. I've experienced burnout at least 2 or 3 times over the last decade. You know, big deals for me personally. And so we try to, like I was saying, be flexible and change up how we do things here. My whole like scale series of YouTube videos was the direct result of burnout on my part. I needed to do something different, and I had this idea for doing that, and we did it, and it worked out. But yeah, discipline is the easy answer, but deadlines is the true answer, because deadlines make the world go round.
that they do. And you know, there's nothing more immutable than a deadline. It's life's great focuser. Yeah, I think that's very good. Wren, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Would you like
Likewise,
to,
man. Thanks for having me.
Promote anything? I mean, you're doing all right, but you know, obviously, CorridorDigital.com. Go there. Actually, I not even lying here. You should go there. It is great. There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. If you enjoy what the Corridor crew guys are doing, then you just want more of it. Go there, get more of it. Get more of it. We're going to give away some more stuff. But before we do that, I'm actually going to say goodbye to you, Wren, so you don't have to hang around unless you want to. You're more than welcome to hang around and applaud people. But if you don't,
I like applauding.
Wren Weichman, Corridor Digital, corridordigital.com. Thank you very much for the chat today. We will see you again soon, hopefully. And
thanks for having me. This is fun. Yeah, let's do this again sometime.
There's the applause. Yeah, we must do. All right, let's go. Let's give away some stuff. Come on then. Right, this is the bit of the show that I enjoy the most, giving people free things. All right, so the first free thing that we're going to be giving away is an annual subscription to Corridor Digital. We've been talking about it, so let's do it. Let's do it. And our first annual subscription is going to Maria Kelly. Well done. You have won an annual subscription to Corridor Digital, $39.99 value. Congratulations, Maria. And the next one is going to Next one is going to Kelvin Andrade. Kelvin, congratulations. You also have won an annual membership of Corridor Digital. We'll be getting in contact with all of our winners over the next couple of days, letting you know how to get your prizes. But there is one more still to come. The Boris FX Suite annual subscription, $12.95.00 value. Going to one lucky winner whose name is Crystal Reeves. Crystal Reeves, well done, Crystal. You have won today's big prize, the Boris FX Suite. That is everything that we make, including Mocha Pro that we've seen today, but also the Sapphire and Continuum plugin collections and Silhouette, Compositing, Paint, Roto, VFX, and Optics. All of that fun stuff, but for stills. So congratulations to Crystal and congratulations to all of our winners today. If you haven't won, don't worry. We'll be back again soon with some more prize giveaways as well. So if you haven't done so already, if you're watching on YouTube, give that thumbs up, a little like. Apparently the thumb isn't blue anymore. Apparently it just turns white. My day is ruined forever. Until tomorrow. But anyway, go join us. See what's coming up next on borisfxlive.com. Go to borisfx.com for a little overview of all of the products that we make, plus hours and hours of free training, tutorials and fun. Join Mary every Tuesday for office hours on Boris FX Learn, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you, everyone. My name is Ben Brownlee. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. If you guys can still hear me, thanks for having me. Seriously appreciate it.